Welcome to Write With Me session number 26, where I'm working on the book Island Dawn on Maui, part of my Maui Desire series. In these series of Write With Me's, I do dictation, where you can see my microphone, and I record into the recorder app on my iPad. Nothing special there. But what is special is I'm able to work on these books and crank them out much faster. Usually typing just wipes me out. I've dictated, I don't know, 20 plus books, a lot. I've been doing this a long time, let's just say that. And that's why I'm going to take you on a journey today to Island Dawn and Maui, and I take you on destination romances on my Aaron Belsing pen name. So let's get started. Session number 26, chapter 33. Alrighty. After spending the rest of the day looking around the property and cleaning things up as best as they could, Mara and Dean collapsed in a heap and had a light dinner and then fell asleep. Nothing more was to be done that day as no one was available. The next day, Mara received an email that night saying that they had a HR problem. She was going to have to be on a phone call for a couple of remote employees, including one she'd befriended and worked with for a while, and they knew that they were going to have to terminate this person, giving Mara a restless night of sleep. Personal note, change the order around because this doesn't make sense. I'll correct this later. The next morning, following the storm, things were beginning to dry out, but Dean found out that there was another squall, a storm coming in, not nearly as strong in a couple of days. And he told Mara, man, we can't catch a break. And she lamented, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Hey, by the way, I've got to take a call, and I'm going to be disconnected for a couple from you and everything for a couple hours, because it's a termination. We've got this big old to-do at work, and it's something I'm not going to be able to get away from, like even for a bathroom break, hardly. And Dean said, "Oh, that's no problem. I'm gonna make a run to Home Depot in town anyway, and then grab a bite. Are you good with the food here, or do you need anything from me?" "No, I think I'm fine," she said. I've got some wraps in the fridge that we bought the other day. They're still good, and I've got plenty of coffee, but it's going to be a long day for me, so you don't need to come back. Okay, that's fine. Sounds good. I'm going to get out of here so you can do your thing. When do you have to be on that call? In about 45 minutes. I got to hit the shower and look halfway presentable. I can't just make a phone call. I actually have to have a face. Is the internet still good here? I mean, I know we were on our cell phones. Dean said, yeah, the internet connection's still solid here. I tested it this morning. You should have no problem. She said, oh, thank goodness. Otherwise, I'd be running to a coffee shop, and that's awkward. I've had to do this before. They kissed and separated, and Dean took off, leaving Mara to work through her HR challenges. Once Dean made it into town, he headed into Home Depot and began working on his supply list for the repairs that needed to happen on the railing and decking that had been damaged. As he was walking through the fastener aisle debating which types of screws to purchase, he got a call from Wes. Thinking it was no big deal, he picked up the phone and was cheery and said, "Hey Wes, how you doing?" "Great, Dean, but I've got some bad news for you." "Uh-oh." "Yeah, my guys came out like you asked this morning to look, and they called me. We looked in that little cottage roof, and that thing took quite a bit of damage. One of the branches broke off of a tree, flew across, tore the tarp up that we'd put on there, and it ripped up quite a few shingles, and there's serious water damage that's come through the roof." "Oh, damn, you gotta be kidding me." So here's the thing, that roof, once we got inside, we got into the attic, and oh man, you're gonna need a new deck, a new everything. It's toast, and there's water damage inside. Has the water damage bad inside? No, we mopped it up quick. We saw Mara inside when we walked by and waved, but she looked like she was on a phone call, so we didn't want to disturb her. And Dean said, yeah, she's got some HR problems with staffing, so she's kind of out of the loop. Well, here's the bigger problem. With that other squall coming in, you know, this, another smaller storm following this one a couple days from now. Yep, I sure do. That's kind of on my forefront of my mind. And now that you said this, I'm even more worried. Well, here's the kicker, buddy. We talked about it, and to do this repair and everything, it's probably going to be about $22,000. Dean paused in the aisle, holding a box of blackened primer deck screws in his hand, and his mind disconnected as he stared at the box of screws like it was an alien. He looked up and said, $22,000 for that little cottage? Are you sure it's enough for the main house? And Wes said, no, man. It's like the decking, the shingles. We can do piece and part, but that storm just shredded that thing. The decking is totally wet, and the more we walk on it, the mushier it gets. I'm afraid you're going to have to choke up quite a bit of money if you want to save that place. Damn, I got to call Mara on this, but she's on that call. Yeah, and here's the pinch. My guys are completely locked on the island. They're busy. Okay, no problem. I've got another roofing crew that can get this done, but they've got 3 other calls from people. And if they don't get going by noon or get a deposit by noon, they're going to be off on another job, and they're going to be tied up for 3 weeks. You got to be freaking kidding me, Dean said. Could this get any worse? Yeah, we need a deposit, as in half the cost up front by noon. Dean looked down at his Tag Heuer titanium aqua racer watch. Dude, it is literally 11 a.m. I can get over to the lawyer's place, but Mara's disconnected. Let me text her right now. He picked up the phone. He switched over to text message and texted her, urgent 911. We have a problem that needs authorization for money right now. Please respond, or if you can take a call. And then Dean hit the send button. Okay, really? I mean, why does it have to be such a rush? Man, the number of places that took a hit on this, the last time Maui got hit like this, these roofing crews were tied up for 3 months, man. And I mean, solid. This is not a job you two can do yourself. I can't even do it myself. That's like a real job. And we have to, are you sure we have to have this kind of rush? Yes, if there was any other way, I could tell you. I mean, we could tarp the hell out of that place, but with the damage it took, everything's wet inside, the drywall's soaked. In Maui, in 2 days, that's going to turn to mold. You know that, Dean. Dean stood fully upright and set the box of screws down. He sighed deeply and looked up and down the busy aisle from Home Depot, wondering who else was there picking up repairs, but he didn't have to guess much. People walked through with tarps and plywood and everything to do repairs that they would have expected. Well, I'll have to get over to Calvin's office, get the authorization, and we can put a transfer on the money. They need the deposit. Yeah, no later than 1 o'clock, but we have to have an approval literally in 45 minutes. This is a sucker punch, I'm sorry. Okay, let me get over to Calvin's office, or at least give him a call, okay? Sure thing. Yeah, man, I haven't heard back from Mara. Okay, I'll call you back, alrighty, Wes? Sure thing. Wes clicked off. For the first time in a long time, for the challenges that Dean faced, a small sweat broke out on his brow. He knew that amount was way above what he could authorize himself, and he needed Mara. So he dialed her phone, and it went straight to voicemail. He didn't see any text message come back, and he texted again, Mara, we have a problem. I need authorization to spend $22,000. Please call immediately or text message me or something. He fired off another text message. Okay, well, he looked up and down the fastener aisle and realized that he's going to have to leave that and head over to Calvin's office immediately. So he headed out of the store. In 20 minutes, he arrived at Calvin's office and was amazed that the palm fronds and the damage in the trees were still partially littering the side of the parking lot. No one had been able to come and clean it yet. Dean walked into Calvin's office and saw Fran wasn't there, and Calvin's office door was open, and with a jingling bell on the door, Calvin called out, "Hey Dean, is that you?" "Yeah, how'd you know, man?" Let me guess. Wes called you with a surprise." "How did you know that? Seriously." "It's a small island, man. I have ears everywhere," Calvin said. "Well, that's rather informal of you." Dean joked. This is a different time. So you, tell me again, I saw your call. You gonna need to authorize $22,000? Yes, like by noon, or, they have to have the money within the hour. That's absurd. Calvin said, "Let me make a call." So he began calling several roofing companies he knew, and after 5 different calls and spending 10 minutes doing it, Calvin hung up the phone, dejected. "Oh wow, man, you are in trouble, aren't you?" "Yes, and Mara's not answering her call. My phone, she's not answering text. She's got to fire a couple people. Apparently it's a big old disaster, and she has to be on a big Zoom call. This isn't good, man." Calvin sighed and shuffled some papers on his desk absent-mindedly and said, "Look, you're going to have to do that transfer and get this done without her permission. Hopefully she'll be okay with it." "I'm sure she will," Dean said. This has to be done, but I don't feel comfortable but if we lose these guys, we could lose that entire cottage to mold and who knows what else." "I know," Calvin said. "I had a little bit of mold in my house that I didn't catch when I was on a trip, and I came back. That was a 5-figure repair. That traumatized me." "Well, you as my witness, we need to authorize this transfer. A $12,000 transfer now." Calvin sat there, looked at his hands, and said, "Okay, I suspect Mara's going to be kind of hot about this, but what are you going to do, right?" Dean shrugged, put his hands out, and said, "Well, I'll take the heat when it comes, but if we don't lock those guys up, we're out." "Okay," Calvin agreed. He called up the bank and started making the arrangements, while Dean walked out of Calvin's office into the foyer and made a call to Wes. Wes, lock your guys in. We'll have the money over to you within the hour. Sorry, I'm not able to raise Mara. She's locked up. Wes said, yeah, I walked by the window and she's looked pretty hot. Her face was really red and didn't look like a good time in there. Could you see if at all she had her phone in her hand? He said, no, sorry, man. It looked like a pretty animated meeting, let's just say that. I didn't want to be some creepy dude staring in the window. Okay, well, anyway, we're authorizing that and your people will have the money, so please lock them in. Sure thing, let me get off the phone and I'll call them. Dean hung up and walked back into Calvin's office. Okay, I've got the authorization for the transfer all set up, so it's pretty much a guarantee. We can either do cashier's check or wire, whatever they want. Okay, no problem, Dean said, thanks. Thank you very much. Hopefully this isn't a big problem. It shouldn't be. Mara's reasonable, but I'll have to tell you, Dean. He lowered his voice even though no one could hear him and Fran was gone. Sometimes I can see she struggles with a bit if she doesn't get a voice in things. She's a super nice girl, but that is one thing you're going to have to think about. I know, Dean. I've had a few things happen, but I guess that's just how it works sometimes, right? At that, Calvin laughed with the echo bouncing off of his desk and said, yeah, you should see some of the things that's happened between me and my wife. Woof, boy. With that, Dean turned around and walked out the door and called back. All right, let me know as soon as you get the money transferred over to those guys. I'll have Wes give you a call. Okay, no problem. Calvin called back. Dean walked out of the office and out into the breeze with the palm trees and the trees swaying back and forth. He looked at his phone, frustrated. Why hasn't Mara called back or text message? That's so unlike her. Okay, 16 minutes and 50 seconds. Let me see how many words that was. One moment. Alrighty, it's a shorter chapter here. Things are gonna get hot. Alright. The word count is chapter 33. 2,344 words, baby. Whoops, the heck is this? Some notification. Sweet. Oh no, did I just delete my whole manuscript? There you go. More words. Perfect. All right, so that was chapter 33 in Island Dawn on Maui, part of the Maui Desire Series. I dictate all my books, or at least I do almost all my books, and you can check out more of my books at aaronbelsing.com, where I primarily write destination romance to take you to places you want to be. And then also on my main site, aaronrlinsdau.com, you can find my thrillers in the Grant Colson series and in the SERA archive series, as well as my nonfiction stories, like how I skied solo to the South Pole. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a comment and give me some ideas, and I always appreciate your feedback. Thank you very much, and please like, comment, and subscribe.